Welcome into this Tuesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio here with you this morning. Lane Kiffin spoke to the media yesterday. We'll do as we do most Tuesdays. We'll talk about that. We got game times for the weekend of Ole Miss and Kentucky. Plenty of
Damn you media
going
people.
around that.
Damn you all.
Going around about that too. We'll discuss that. And then whatever time's left, probably some NFL thoughts. Those will go into tomorrow, as they always do every single week, go into Wednesday as well. But nonetheless, we will have that and more for you today on a show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Head on over to the Blue Sky location in town, and when you do that, make a purchase. Any purchase, you're entered into a chance to win an official Ole Miss game day football jersey. They're giving one away for every home football game this season. That includes Tulsa at 3 o'clock this weekend. That includes Kentucky at 11 o'clock next weekend, and so on. So to win a free Ole Miss jersey, you can just go in, make a purchase. While you're in there, lunch special today, tater tot casserole, bread, any size fountain drink, and more with all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for, and he'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guests join later in the week on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Great place if you're coming up this weekend for the Tulsa game, next weekend for the Kentucky game. Stop by Rafters, make it a part of your weekend. Grab a burger, a po' boy, appetizers, a beer, full bar, and more there at Rafters on the Square in Oxford, and also Rafters in New Albany.
So let's see, where do we want to go? We go Kiffin. We want to go games for next weekend. What is your lead off topic?
I think the lead topic is the game times, because it's a topic of conversation that frustrates people, and I understand it. I think there's more of this coming in the future. I think you and I have talked about this before. I talked to someone in Birmingham this morning, about the game time thing.
Okay.
Number one, I was a little surprised, just kind of based on things that I heard, that CBS didn't use the 6-day window, but I think they're already looking at a couple of weekends down the road, going, we're going to want it then.
Sure. Oh, well, that's true. Yeah. Because they can't go unlimited. You only get a couple or something.
I think the feeling is that A&M, Arkansas, Saturday night's a coin toss. And so, obviously, if Arkansas were to win that game in Arlington, that's the premier game, because it's Alabama, and it would be two top 10 teams.
Sure. Yeah.
And Alabama looks mortal right now. There's a feeling around the league a little bit that these 3 road trips for Alabama to Fayetteville, Knoxville, and Oxford, and I think I have that in the right order, are
does it give a chance?
Are hazards in their path. So that came up. And then here's the other part, and this is the part that it just sounds crappy, but it's true. ESPN, because of its history with it, loves the LSU-Auburn game. Loves it. It gets great numbers. There's a lot of history to it. It's an easy story. And now you add to it the very real possibility that it's got some sex to it with this coaching fire thing. And so that's...
And while true, though, the 11 a.m. game, and it's what we're getting into, is just a higher level game.
It is.
So really, no matter what the Auburn-LSU game is or isn't, right, is sort of irrelevant from that standpoint, because it's two things here. And I heard from a lot of people yesterday and this morning that are very frustrated. And again, I understand it. But it's two separate conversations. It's not the same conversation. The one conversation is, how dare ESPN do this? No, ESPN gave you a very good time slot in their opinion of what they're trying to accomplish. They gave you their number one time slot.
Yes.
They want that 11 o'clock out of game day good game. And that is what they gave you versus later in the night when you've either watched a ton of football or you're doing a lot of different stuff or you're flipping to multiple games. They were trying to showcase an 11 o'clock game, and they chose you to do that.
Yep.
Completely get it. That is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So ESPN, is going, what are you talking about? We gave you all the respect in the world. We picked you.
Yep.
That would be their response.
Yeah.
That is a different scenario than 11 a.m. game times in Oxford really, really suck. which I understand. Also very, very true. And it's not even just, hey, I want to go party and get drunk in the Grove. It just does. It changes a ton of stuff. Like, it is a bad time slot for games in the SEC if you're going to the game.
It's a bad time slot for games in small towns. It's harder to get in. Traffic's bad. You have to plan ahead. But look, here's the deal. Whether people like it or not, with these expanded, like when Texas and OU joined the league, and I think it's probably 2024 when they join the league. When they join the league, Chase, there's going to be more high-profile 11 a.m. games. ESPN looked at it's absolutely coming. ESPN looked at the numbers that big noon Saturday Fox game got between Texas and Alabama and said, you know what? We need to make sure that we're putting a high-profile game at 11 o'clock. And when you have one, people are like, well, they didn't do it last week, but they didn't have one last week. They didn't have any high-profile games at 11 o'clock. But as you get into conference play, you typically have some high-profile games. You want one out of that game day show.
Yeah, I mean, again, was ESPN or Fox did it for Alabama, Texas? 11 a.m.
It was Fox.
Yeah, 11 a.m.
It was Fox. Fox has had a lot of success with the big noon kickoff, noon Eastern.
Yeah. That's not just their show. They also have a game, obviously, at 11.
They've had a lot of success with taking their show and leading it into a game. The higher profile, the better. They have. Michigan, Ohio State has become an 11 a.m. Central Time game.
It does very well.
Exceptionally well. Truth is, there's more stuff on at night. There's more distractions at night. People go out on Saturday nights. You can't this isn't directed at fans, by the way. It's just in general. You can't, in one hand, go, man, I love this TV money, and in the other hand, bitch about TV. Yeah, TV sets the agenda. I have a mailbag question. I'll go ahead and answer it today. I'll answer it in writing, but what say do ADs have in this? Very little, if any. I'm sure you get to make your preference known.
Sure.
But ESPN's stroking the check. When you write the check, you get what you want. When you walk into a steakhouse and you order a steak, you get a steak, even if the chef really wants you to have the chicken special. Just coming. I mean, it's just is what it is. I get it. It messes up the Grove. I get that I don't understand the Grove. I haven't been to the Grove in 12 years.
But it's not even necessarily Grove, though. Like, not even defending fans. But the point more is just, like you said, it's not a city where you're already here. You're getting here. It changes the dynamic after the game because of closures and times and all those things. Like, it's sort of, in a way, it eliminates tailgating on both sides.
Sure.
In a way. That's actually the issue with it, is that it's not even just, hey, do everything later. Well, the way the rules are, you can't. That's not the way it works.
But look, Ole Miss is going to get 11 a.m. games.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they just are. I mean, if you made me bet today looking at the slate, I'd bet Auburn Ole Miss on the 15th as an 11 a.m. game. I mean, I'd bet heavily on it. If you look at the slate of games that day.
But if Auburn sucks, it's a night game.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Perhaps.
There. Yeah.
Just you look at the way the slate goes, there might be 2 11 a.m. games that day. Might be an ESPN, it might be an SEC network. You have all these TV slots, something's got to fill them.
And this is the deeper thing. David said the frustration, fair or not, is the perception that programs like Ole Miss and Kentucky find themselves at 11 when they're good or bad, and LSU always get primetime games. It's not perception, it's true.
Yeah. Well, ESPN.
People did the math a couple years ago. LSU does not play 11 o'clock games. They do not give LSU.
But here's why.
Games. No, I mean, again, not arguing. Just
here's why. When TV looks at their analytics, and believe me, they're analytically driven, they know that night games at LSU get great ratings. They just do. It's a national product. We always joke about our friend in Dubuque. Ooh, Tiger Stadium at night.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a aura to it. I mean, kind of only one way to change that. Well, there's 2 ways to change it. You win big, and your atmosphere comes across on television as different. Enough to get people to watch.
What's interesting about that, and this is probably a deeper thing that we're not necessarily going all the way into today, crowds, because we'll get into Kiffin's comments, and he challenged the fans yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But I've told Neal when we were walking out of the press conference yesterday, crowds everywhere are down. Unless it's a huge game, nobody's getting crowds in. So I guess the point is, frankly, crowds in general are reputation-based at this point, because I don't know that anybody's falling off or gaining to a point to change perception. If you have a really big game, you have a hell of a crowd. And if you don't have a really big game, you don't have a hell of a crowd. And it's that way at 100% of the stadiums across the country.
Well, look, there's this thing called inflation that has impacted people.
Yeah, no doubt.
Not to get political, but gas prices are high. I mean, I know people are going, hey, they're down 50 cents. Yeah, but they're up over last year. They're more expensive. It's more expensive to drive than it was a year ago. It's more expensive to go out to eat than it was a year ago. It's more expensive to get your groceries than it was a year ago. To assume that has not impacted people's decisions as to which games they will or will not attend is absolutely foolish.
Yeah, you're less likely to do Central Arkansas, Tulsa.
And then throw on top of that the political theater and wokeness of 2020 allowed people, and that's what it was. It allows people to go who normally would have just gone to all the games to suddenly get the viewing experience from home.
No, David, I think both can be true. He said you can't be true that 11's the better time slot then. Both can't be true. Any big-time SEC game at night has an atmosphere on TV.
No, but it is true, David. It is absolutely true that the networks view the 11 o'clock slot as critically important. But then when they're putting the puzzle together, and that's what ESPN does, CBS gets choice one. They chose Alabama at Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's what they chose. Because why? Because CBS knows that Alabama gets ratings. That's why they took it. Alabama gets ratings. Around the country, people watch Alabama. It's more than just down here. These are national audiences. They're trying to get a national audience, so they took Alabama. So the next game that they looked at was the 11 o'clock slot. What's the best game? It's Ole Miss, Kentucky. But you package that with, hey, we get on top of that, we get to put a game that typically does really well at night. And so that's what they did.
Yeah, I guess that's the best way to characterize it, because if you look at all three of those games, you get this, and then the night helps prop up Auburn and LSU, potentially with two teams that nobody cares about, versus you flip it, and you go, well, now I've got the worst game at 11, and I don't have the kind of the ambience that I typically could get around that game.
It's a game that people might not care about, but again, our guy in Dubuque who just sits and watches college football and doesn't give a damn about any of these SEC teams, he's kind of programmed, because it's typically been a pretty crazy game, to go, hey, look at this, LSU and Auburn at night. Remember the fire, and remember this, and remember that. That's what. And
it's also putting it. It's also putting it on another channel at the same exact time that the number one team in the country is playing. That some people are simply going to watch Georgia because they're on TV.
Sure.
Auburn LSU's head up against Georgia.
Sure, people watch the number one team.
Yeah. Ole Miss is head up against Eastern Washington and Florida, and South Carolina State and South Carolina. They said, here's the SEC game we're going to watch right now. And
I mean, the slate of games at 11 a.m.
I've got it up.
Okay.
Alabama, Arkansas, 2:30.
Yep.
11 a.m., Kentucky-Ole Miss, Eastern Washington, Florida,
mm-hmm.
South Carolina State, South Carolina.
So
now I can go national. If you
Florida's the SEC network game.
It is. That's correct.
Yeah.
No, Florida is the South Carolina State. South Carolina is actually the SEC network game.
Dear God.
Eastern Washington, Florida is ESPN. Well, I don't know. They both have SEC network. They're not telling us which one's on the alternate channel.
So it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
A&M and State at 3, SEC network.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's a pretty good 3 SEC network game.
Yeah.
And then LSU, Auburn, and Georgia, Missouri. Night. Yeah. SEC network, ESPN.
And so they're putting the puzzle together. After CBS makes their call, ESPN/Disney puts a puzzle together. I get it. I get that people don't like it, and I know people go, you guys in the media, y'all view it. Yeah, look, if we were up to media people, every game would be at 9 a.m. So it's not really about what media wants. I didn't get a say.
Yeah, we weren't asked.
I mean, if we were asked, literally every game would kick at 9 a.m. or earlier. We might kick it at 7:30.
Yeah, if I got one text, I got 27 yesterday that said, I know you like the 11, but, and then I got a string of sentences after that. It's like, yeah. I get it.
But if I were them, I would have probably done the same thing. If I'm ESPN, that's probably what I do. I get it. So I can't sit here and go, oh, it's terrible. I understand. They have to put something there.
And we're their point, though, that I do kind of agree with is that no matter if Ole Miss is good or bad, they don't get the night game, because if they're bad, they stick them at 11 o'clock to get out of the way because it's on SEC Network at that point.
But to me,
the thing is that you have a hard time getting that 6 o'clock game, no matter how good you are.
But to me, that's where you have to throw that out. You're talking about 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
You're not talking about 6 games. You're talking about 3 games. CBS gets choice 1, and then the next 2 are up to ESPN, and they want to put one at 11
and one at 6 or 6:30.
Or in their words, noon.
Yeah,
because they're thinking about the Eastern time zone, and one at 7:30 or 7.
Yeah,
it's actually not 7:30. They moved it up because they know the later they go, the worse the ratings get.
Yeah, sure.
If you've noticed, there's fewer and fewer 8 o'clock games. I know there was one last week, but they don't do a lot of that.
It better be a hell of a game if you're doing 8 o'clock.
Yeah. It better be a humdinger, if you will. Or it better be super sexy somehow.
Yeah, on the East Coast, you need the fourth quarter to start in that 9 o'clock hour, not that 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah. So they were going to put something at 11 and something at 6, and they had to piece it together. It was a puzzle. Mm-hmm. And so they probably had 3 games to choose from if you include State and Texas A&M, and after State spit the bit the way that they did in Baton Rouge.
Because that game's hidden because it's on with Arkansas and Alabama.
Yeah, and it tells you that, again, it's the coin toss. If Texas A&M beats Arkansas, that game's got a little bit more appeal to it. If Texas A&M loses to Arkansas, A&M's kind of off the map a little bit from a TV standpoint.
No, CBS was picking an Arkansas victory.
Well, they're banking
in a way.
They're cheering for one.
Right? Yeah. Because if you knew they were losing, you go, well, hell, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because you can only get Alabama so many times too. There is a limit to how many times you can take one team.
Yeah. But I get picking Alabama for the 2:30 window because they get numbers. People ask, why do they keep going back to Alabama? Because Alabama delivers. Mm-hmm. That's why. It's not about equity. It's about ratings. Just is. And you can consider the amount that they're paying for that package. I get it.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Johnston Hill Creamery, johnstonhillcreamery.com, 662-419-9201. Or send them an email at cheese@johnstonhillcreamery.com. Go to their Instagram page. Tons of different videos, pictures of the offerings they have, including their tailgate packages. You got Tulsa this weekend. And then as SEC play gets going, still 4 SEC home games to go this season to feed 10, 20, or 40, no matter what it is that you have going on in your tent. They can help you out. Again, that's 662-419-9201, johnstonhillcreamery.com.
Brought to you by the College Corner. The Davison Igbenosin Show is up where you listen to podcasts. It's also up on our YouTube channel. Really appreciate you hitting the play button on that. But if you don't, that's okay. We'd like for you to. It's the College Corner that sponsors that show. It's your one-stop Rebel Shop, 2 locations in the Jackson area in Ridgeland. It's next to Fleet Feet and Flowwood. It's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, it's okay. No problem. You can go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. We're also brought to you by The Rogue. They host the Mason Brooks Show, or sponsor it, I should say. And it's brought to you each and every week. It's up also on the site. It's up at where you listen to podcasts as well. Mason was terrific as always. The Rogue is your destination for fine men's clothing. Their stylish hand-select pieces from top designers, from work to lifestyle to nightlife. There's the perfect something for everyone. All the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, and more. 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. A little bit later today, the Troy Brown Show will be published. It's brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern 662-429-4429. We'll have Pete's Pigskin preview to you on Thursday. That's brought to you by Walk-Ons. Walk-On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine like po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. Visit them today in Oxford or Ridgeland. Our friends at Blue Delta are excited to announce they'll be hosting Mustache the Band on Friday, October the 14th for the Square Jams after party. You can come out, watch the basketball team on Friday night, get ready for Saturday's game against Auburn. And in between, you can join the folks from Blue Delta at the Lyric with the world's most powerful 90s country band. Ticket packages are on sale now. Some tickets include jeans, some don't, but all include admission to the concert and an open bar. To book, just DM Blue Delta on their socials or visit bluedeltajeans.com/afterparty, and they'll see you there. A-Stock Auctions is a Nashville-based online auction company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items at A-Stock Auctions start at just $1. Every item is just $1. Go to astock.bid or download their app. Name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers. And what he said, what he meant is up at rebelgrove.com. That's brought to you by myperfectfranchise.net. MyPerfectFranchise.net offers the ability to create income and wealth. Let Andy Ledecky guide you through a comprehensive franchise evaluation. If you hate your job, you hate your boss, you hate your pay, and you feel stuck, email Andy at myperfectfranchise.net.
Podcast is brought to you by Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. 6 different flavors delivered straight to you to your door. You pop them in the freezer. Then when ready to eat, less than 10 minutes freezer to plate with restaurant quality shrimp from Prime Shrimp. They have their newest flavor, the lemon cracked pepper. It's their 6 different offering. The signature blend is probably my favorite. They have a spicy blend as well as 2 different meals in a bag. That's the French Quarter Alfredo and the garlic herb butter, or a simply shrimp if you want to doctor it up yourself. It's great with kids, maybe a little more of a picky palate, or whatever flavor it is that you want. They have an option for you. They also do their 2 pounds of individually frozen shrimp. Those are kind of like what the grocery store would offer, except a higher quality shrimp from the New Orleans-based company. So use code MPW for your first order. That's primeshrimp.com. Use MPW. Let's see. ESPN has not updated a ton of game times for that week, so I guess some other conferences haven't put their times in yet. Maybe the Big Ten specifically, because Michigan, Iowa doesn't have a time yet, at least per ESPN. NC State, Clemson does not have a time yet per ESPN.
I've got to think that's a 2:30 ABC game.
Oklahoma, TCU doesn't have a time. Oklahoma State, Baylor doesn't have a time.
Oh, it's a big game.
I did see Brett McMurphy reporting this morning that Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have both said that Bedlam will not continue once the SEC move happens. So that is done.
By the way, the SEC schedule comes out. Next year's SEC schedule comes out today.
Oh, it is today.
And I know there are rumors and such. I don't believe, based on talking to people, that the rumor about Oklahoma and Texas being included in next year's schedule is true. I don't think that's true at all.
The game being on CBS is not prohibitive to game day whatsoever. They will absolutely pick games that are on CBS. Can we do the formula? Who is Ole Miss's East team next year in the rotation? 20 kind of skirted up in my head, so I'm trying to think back. Is it Georgia?
God, Ole Miss better hope not.
Well, they have minutes at 16.
When was the last time Ole Miss went to Athens? It was 12, right?
It's 12.
Or 13. Was it 13 or 12? It's 12.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 12 because I did the Robert Kimdichie thing.
Okay. It's not Carolina. It's not Kentucky.
When was the last time they went to Kentucky?
It's not Florida, but they play Kentucky this year. You're not doing back-to-back.
Okay.
I mean, there's you go home and away in a rotation.
When was the last time Florida came here?
Well, they were supposed to in 2020, and they did.
That's
for
right.
COVID. That was the game that was already on the schedule.
I assume it's Georgia.
Or Tennessee. No, that's happened recently.
When was the last time Tennessee came to Oxford? Freeze.
Yeah, but Ole Miss went up there a couple years ago.
Last year.
Yeah, so no. It's Georgia, right?
I guess.
Or Missouri?
Yeah, I was the next question I had was when was the last time Missouri came here last in 2013? When was the last time Ole Miss went to Missouri? A couple years ago. It was 2017 or 18.
Did they? Yeah.
No, it was 19. It was the first time we did a post-game show.
Yeah. Sorry, we're rambling. I don't know.
My guess would be it's Georgia, which really sucks for Ole Miss. Although Kentucky's really good too.
I mean, you have to do it 1 out of 7 years, so it is what it is.
So what'd you make of Kiffin challenging the fans for the Tulsa game? mean, there's a lot of different ways it can be interpreted.
People
try to read a lot into that kind of stuff. And maybe there's something to read into it. Maybe there's not.
I thought it was notable. Now, look, he's made a habit of this. This is not new. Kiffin is doing this a lot. And you can – we don't know.
Sure, the post-game question that I'm going to want to scream at, which is, what'd you think of the crowd?
Sure. It's the only time that I thought Kiffin – and I don't remember what game it was. I can't even remember. It's the only time I thought Kiffin was unfair to the crowd was he – it was A&M. He criticized the A&M crowd last year, and it was like, come on, Lane. Like, that was a really good crowd. Like, you can't say, hey, show up and then criticize that crowd. Because he mentioned that they still were able to get signals in or something. They were able to mouth signals and not have to use silent counts.
Oh.
That's what he was talking about. But it was like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So it's a constant thing. And you can go, hey, it's a frustration, it's a challenge, it's evidence of, hey, if you really want to keep him here, maybe this is something you guys need to get better at. That's a clear interpretation that there's no way to argue with that at all. There's also the possibility that he just knows that him bitching might be a reason to get 5,000 more people in the stands or 2,500 more people in the stands. And if it only takes him 15 seconds in a press conference, that's probably worth it to make the crowd a little better. That you can probably guilt trip some people into it.
It's probably that.
I mean, it's better than me not mentioning it. And he was in a little bit of a sarcastic mood yesterday. He was in a good mood.
He was in a good mood.
Yeah.
I suspect that was a happy film.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Shit. So I think it's the latter. But look, it's something that's always on his mind. And here's what's interesting about it. And look, he's aware. I mean, Lane is as aware of the college football national landscape of maybe any coach in the country, or at least in the top tier of that.
Yeah.
So he's aware of this. He knows that Alabama is also not drawing against Mercer or whomever they're playing.
I would think he knows that.
He does. But here's my point. Because Ole Miss has gotten better, and they're a top 15 team, top 20 team, they won a lot of games. I mean, Neal's rattling off stats to me before we started the show about their above-average play over the last couple of years. When he goes on the road teams are putting big crowds in to see Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So he goes and goes, hey, look what they're doing.
Right.
Well, it's because you're good.
Right.
He's not coaching at Coastal Carolina where he comes into Fayetteville and it's sleepy before A&M the next week or whatever. So I do wonder sometimes if he has to remind himself that Ole Miss is drawing on the road because of who they are. Not necessarily, oh, look, that crowd's so much better than Ole Miss at home.
There were empty seats for Auburn with Penn State in town.
Yeah, I saw that.
First time a Big Ten team had ever played there.
LSU didn't have a full house for State Saturday.
No.
LSU was pretty rough for State Saturday. It's just national. It just is what it is.
People got time to watch games at home.
Yeah. So I think you have to be a
all
little
that
careful
virtue
down that road.
all that virtue signaling had a cost. It just did. It's going to take time to get those people to come back to games, to come back to all the games, because they got to watch games at home and went, man, this is kind of nice. Instead of fighting the crowd getting out of Baton Rouge, you're already home in Hammond. You're not dripping wet walking back to your car 2 miles away. You're home. There is no line for the bathroom. You don't pay $11 for a beer.
Ole Miss is at Georgia next year, Missouri at home in 24, and at South Carolina in 2025.
So Ole Miss goes
to Athens next year.
Missouri here,
and then at Carolina.
Okay.
That is the next 3 years.
Whew. So
yeah, I knew there was a rotation that was already
Ole Miss
out.
goes to Alabama and Georgia next year.
And Auburn.
And, well, so what?
Okay, fair.
But to Alabama and Georgia. Whew.
Well, it means your home games are easier.
It does.
Silver lining.
So next year they'll go to Georgia, to Alabama, to Auburn, and to Mississippi State.
That's correct.
And they'll play host to
Arkansas, LSU,
Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M.
That is correct. Yes.
What are their non-league games next year? Do you know?
I'll pull it up in a second. State plays South Carolina next year. Alabama gets at Kentucky next year.
Okay.
Arkansas's at Florida next year. Auburn gets the Vanderbilt gift next year. A&M Tennessee next year is kind of fun.
Oh, yeah.
In Knoxville.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, yes, at Georgia next year. People in the stream were saying it, but I did actually find it too. I knew they had put it in through like 2025 that you could go ahead and map out sort of how that.
Although 2025 will get disrupted.
Get wiped. Yeah, sure.
So don't make your reservations in Columbia.
Next year, the non-league is Mercer at home to open, at Tulane in New Orleans, at home for Georgia Tech, at home for ULM.
Oh, the Warhawks head to town,
They do.
Oh, cool.
Get them back in next year.
Yeah. I'll go to the team hotel, hang out a little bit, give them some secrets, some tips.
3 Louisiana teams on the schedule next year.
Out of the way. Be Louisiana State champs. Tulane, ULM, and LSU, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's exciting.
I'm going to continue to harp on this. Play Tulane every other year on New Orleans.
Of course.
It's the only time they have it in like the next 10 years. You don't do that. Play them every other year.
I would call Tulane and go, hey, we'll come down there every other year.
You don't have to come here.
Nope.
Don't care.
In fact, we really don't want you to. Serves no purpose.
No, good. We'll just go down there. Fine.
I'd call UNLV and go, you want us to come play you? Because we will.
If you want to come here, great, but whatever.
Not necessary.
We just want to come to you.
Yep. Because Ole Miss fans travel.
You would give them a Vegas game.
Sure. Ole Miss would take 30,000 people to Las Vegas.
Because if you're going to do some of those road, you got to do some road games and out of the league. Make it trips. Yeah, make it fun.
Go to New Orleans. Everybody likes New Orleans a weekend.
Don't play Memphis.
No, hell no, hell no. No, no. Where you want to go play? New Orleans or Orange Mound?
Yeah.
If you're going to play road games against, either go play Power 5 teams or give people a trip.
So schedules, yeah. At Georgia, at Alabama, at State, at Tulane, at Auburn.
Not bad. I mean, from a travel standpoint, that's pretty vicious from a competition standpoint. Imagine how desperate State will be after losing 3 in a row when that game comes there next November. Because it'll either be year one for a new guy or it'll be Mike Leach's ass on the line.
Because if Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl this year, that would be period.
He couldn't survive 4 in a row.
And you're not sure he can survive 3.
Look,
Can you really fire him, though, if they get to 7?
Can you get Hugh Freeze? Can you hire Hugh Freeze?
Would you stop that crap?
Totally serious.
Stop.
Why?
They're not hiring Hugh Freeze.
Why not? Tell me why not.
Hold on a minute.
Tell me why not.
Hold on.
Okay.
If you're John Cohen, who's a very smart guy,
okay,
you would hire the guy who your in-state rival, who I've goaded for 10 years and put on probation, has all of that crap content from those years ago at their disposal. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to just hope that we have this Cold War where nobody's ever going to use it.
Ole Miss wouldn't care.
I'm just asking, though. You got to at least have the hand-raised guy that goes, hey, John, what if? What if? That's all. What if?
Okay, ask me the questions and I'll be John. Fire away.
As soon as we're in it for some number one recruit in the country, they release the full scope of all those numbers.
That's between he and Joe. A long time ago. In a much better place now.
Because I do think, I was asked this on the board yesterday, and I'm completely right. Somebody said, hey, Steve would never be able to handle that. I said, no, Steve would say it's the Ole Miss culture that led Hugh to do those things. He was fine, and Ole Miss caused it.
Okay.
That's what he would do.
Cool. What else you got? Give me another obstacle. Seriously, I'm totally serious here. If I'm Mississippi State, he is on the shortest of short lists.
I do agree.
He's proven he can recruit in Mississippi. All the, quote, cheating that he did at Ole Miss, which he really didn't do because he didn't have the money to do it, but now it's legal. He'd be able to assemble a pretty good staff. He's a very good offensive coach. He is.
I do believe that for most places, Hugh is not anywhere near the gamble that most people try to paint him into being. I think time changes things, and frankly, whatever. I mean, barring some sort of scandal in the exact same fashion.
That stuff, by the time you hire him next year, is almost a decade old. His argument, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say it is that was a weak moment in his life and a weak moment in his marriage, and that they're better now.
Mm-hmm.
He's won at Liberty. I mean, they 2-point play away from beating Wake.
Oh, they have one of the better Group of 5 programs.
He's really solid. They have good plans. I mean, they couldn't handle Monroe last year, but other than that, done pretty well. Came to Ole Miss. They were respectable.
Sure.
He didn't make an ass of himself that week, that day. He didn't.
No, he's fine.
He could have made it all about him, and he didn't. He didn't. He handled it well.
Showed a lot of humanity. Frankly, he was uncomfortable and just kind of wanted to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. A lot of his former players that played at Ole Miss for Hugh Freeze still like him very much. A lot of them go to Liberty and work out sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tell me who at Mississippi State makes a ton more sense. If the season goes to hell in a handbasket and they lose to Ole Miss and 3 times in a row and they go, this just doesn't work. Tell me who makes more sense. Hugh Freeze puts them on the national map. Media likes to talk about Hugh Freeze, a lot of clicks. Yeah, sure, you tell jokes, but jokes go away if you win. His argument would be, I inherited the Ole Miss job at a time. His argument would be, I inherited the Ole Miss job at a time that the roster was completely depleted, the morale sucked, and the fan base had given up. And I took them to number 1 in the country. And had I not had some dalliances off the field, I might still be there today. And the NCAA thing was a witch hunt, which it was. And all the things that we got accused of now are legal.
Oh, I get the argument.
It's a legit argument. Who else are they hiring?
I also don't.
I mean, Urban Meyer's not lining up for the Mississippi State job. Who else are you hiring? And you need to be relevant because, if Lane Kiffin's going to stay at Ole Miss for any length of time, Ole Miss is really freaking relevant. And if you're Mississippi State and you're trying to figure out some way in hell to match it, you're going to have to hire somebody that gives you a little splash. And that can't be.
And it's probably where it does. It's probably the most splashy you could actually get. I mean, it's a narrow splash, but I get what you mean. I mean,
it's a pretty big splash. It'd be big news. The national guys would come to the press conference.
Oh, well, sure.
Well, that's what you're trying to do. What make the Egg Bowl relevant?
Well, look, there was an argument. There's an argument.
I am going to will this into existence.
And maybe
this is going to happen.
I've heard this argument, and I don't even disagree, that Hugh would have been a better fit at State than Ole Miss.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah,
Not that he was a bad fit at Ole Miss, but he would have been a better fit at State.
Fit there.
The Mississippi stuff.
The preachy stuff hits home a little better there. This is about more than football. It's about. Remember, at one time I said, just be a football coach. And he's like, I'm more than that.
Yeah, said he had a platform for his purpose, I believe.
Yeah,
is what he
okay. That goes over there better. They're hokier than Ole Miss is. They just are.
Yeah, Hugh can't bait Lane into talking about the Egg Bowl in revered tones.
Oh, hell no. No. Look, if Lane Kiffin's biggest game of the year is the Egg Bowl, he failed. In his mind, he failed. At the risk of kind of giving away some content here,
sure.
Look where Ole Miss is today. If you go back to the 2020 end of the season, to the bowl game, and again, I realize I'm hand selecting a start date, okay? You follow me?
Yeah.
Ole Miss wins the 2020 Outback Bowl over Indiana, including that game and assuming a win over Tulsa. Ole Miss goes into the Kentucky game 15-3 in their last 18 games.
That's correct.
Ask me how many programs in the SEC are better than that.
It's 2.
2. Ask me how many programs in the league can match that.
1.
Assuming a win over Northern Illinois,
Sure.
dating back to the 2020 Gator Bowl, which Kentucky beat somebody in. Kentucky will be 15-3 in its last 18 games when it comes to Oxford. Lane Kiffin has put Ole Miss squarely in the second tier. And that second tier, quite frankly, only has 2 members. It's got a couple of teams that are on the outskirts of it, but they're not in it.
Yeah, A&M's not in it.
Arkansas is close. A&M's not as close, but depending on what happens in that game Saturday. If Arkansas were to beat A&M on Saturday, Arkansas could argue that we're really close. And they would be, but they wouldn't be in it. I mean,
and the winner of Ole Miss Kentucky goes.
Well, the winner of Ole Miss Kentucky's in phenomenal shape in so many ways.
Yeah.
And so if we're doing the Mississippi State thing and you're comparing to Ole Miss and everything they does,
sure,
I got to go, hey, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So you asked me to be hand-raised guy in that room?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm hand-raised guy in the room in Starkville, God forbid, I'm saying, look, we got to do something that makes us relevant. They're relevant.
Yeah.
They get attention. They're good. They win. They're relevant. If we got to match that or try to get as close to that as we can, and the Leach thing doesn't work, and it's not working, if the Leach thing doesn't work, the answer is not some country boy from somewhere to come in and, boy, we're going to rally the Mississippi. No, you're going to have to get somebody that gets some attention, that runs something that works.
Yeah.
Well, Hugh Freeze did it at a Mississippi school at a time that school sucked, no offense, but Ole Miss was horrible in 2011.
Yeah, sure.
They were god-awful. The morale, the grades.
Everything.
The program was in absolute shambles. Shambles. I mean, Ole Miss sucked in 2011. Sorry, but they did. I don't even think anybody would argue that.
No.
And he won. I mean, I don't even know who else. I mean, you could argue Will Hall, but has Will done it yet?
I mean,
does Will get people excited yet?
He's not to Hugh yet. Come on.
So who are you hiring? Because the big national people don't want that job.
No, of course not.
I mean, you're not going
to. A lot of people look at it and go, "Hang on a minute, they're obsessed with Mississippi and beating Ole Miss, and Lane's over there." Yeah, no,
Lane's over there, and I got to play Alabama every year.
Yeah, I'm good.
I got to play LSU every year.
And my permanent is Kentucky, who's good.
And we're about to add Texas and Oklahoma to this damn thing. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke Fickell's not taking the call.
No.
So tell me who makes more sense than Hugh Freeze at Mississippi State.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by G and
M
Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. We won't need any medication if Hugh Freeze is hired at Mississippi State, just running on adrenaline. That's it. Keep all your pills. But if you need some pills,
I can feel momentum right now.
Tyson Drugs, Holly Springs, they'll deliver locally in the Oxford area. They also offer MedSync. 3 prescriptions the same day each month. Take care of you. 1 trip to the pharmacy, 1 delivery. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M. So, again, call them. Transfer your medications from a big box pharmacy. That's 662-236-2222.
We're also brought to you by Solutions RX. It's a probiotic multivitamin supplement company created by Ole Miss Pharmacy alum Chris Cornelison. It's pharmaceutical grade, manufactured right here inside the U.S. I've been taking a couple of their products. The prescription support, it's great. Puts the vitamins back into your body to help with side effects from some of the medications people my age kind of have to take, like high blood pressure meds, cholesterol meds, whatever the case may be. Just makes you feel better. SolutionsRx.com, promo code OEP at checkout. Get 10% off your first order. Holcomb Portable Buildings, 7991 Highway 7 South in Holcomb, Mississippi. At Holcomb Portable Buildings, they custom build your building to your specifications. It's going to be awesome. However you want your carport, ATV, or storage shed, I mean, all the content we're going to have. Oh, my God, it's going to be great. Holcomb can accommodate you. You pick the color, the style, the windows, the doors. You can make it maroon. You could put some freeze things on it. Have a freeze warning in Starkville. Get Holcomb Portable Buildings to paint it for you. 662-226-2233, holcombbuildings.com. You can also find them on Facebook or Instagram at Holcomb Portable Buildings. Speaking of tailgating, Got tailgating going on this weekend with Tulsa coming to town. You got Kentucky coming next week. Auburn coming 2 weeks after that. You still got home games against Alabama, Mississippi State. There's a lot going on. Still plenty of time to enjoy the Grove. And you want 7 South Tailgating to take the pressure off you and tailgating and let you enjoy the tailgating. Let them do the setup. Let them do the tear down. Let them do all of it to make your tailgating a far more pleasant experience. Once you've tailgate with 7 South Tailgating, you won't tailgate without them again. Again, 7southtailgating.com. Don't forget Dead Soxy. If you're already starting to think about the holiday season, Dead Soxy is the perfect gift for any budget. Whether as a gift or buying for yourself, Dead Soxy can always help you celebrate with style. Promo code RebelGrove for 25% off your order at deadsoxy.com. And speaking of the Grove, listen, these early games when you're hitting the mimosas or the Bloody Marys, or if you're just drinking the 7:30 a.m. Bud, you want those game changer patches. It's the only 2-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. I mean, if you're having vodka and lemonade with a little splash of 7-Up, you want the game changer patches. The warm-up patch before or while you drink, overtime patch after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase. We're also brought to you by ACS, Automation Control Systems, LLC. It's a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff at UL 508A panel shop that can service and install Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, Siemens, ABB, Square D, and many other manufacturers. Get in touch with them at acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381.
Now, aptly, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp, because we may all need or not need this should this come to fruition. Neal is over here trying to thrust into the ether as we are talking today. If you got a problem, your brain's sometimes tough to stay in a problem-solving mode when faced with a challenge in life, like getting Hugh Freeze hired as the head coach at Mississippi State. But you learn how to find your own solutions. There's no better feeling. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver, make it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or small. Sure, you can talk to family, friends, people who have some experience with you, but get a therapist. Complete clean slate. Somebody who doesn't have any emotional capacity, anything in the past to tie them to the subject. Somebody who can help you. You can change therapists whenever you would like with BetterHelp. You can turn your video on or off. So many different benefits there to talk to someone that you can trust and get answers from, or can help you get answers yourself. So when you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/MPW to get 10% off your first month. It's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. That's betterhelp.com/MPW.
I mean, look, if they need me to come into the meeting, I'll be there.
Okay.
2 hours away.
You can get there in a little under 2.
Yeah, just give me a call. There's a price, but I'll be there.
If you tweeted it, I bet you would like the tweet.
Could happen.
Where's the helmet? Is it on the bottom shelf?
Yeah, it's down here.
Okay.
Bet we could get a signed Mississippi State helmet when he gets the gig.
100%.
He'd probably come on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
That'd be great.
That helmet got here in like 3 days. I mean, that son of a gun was warp speed getting here.
We didn't even ask for it to be signed.
Did not ask for it to be signed.
But it was. Got a little dust on it.
That's
Chase and Neal, thank you for having me on. Hugh Freeze. There it is.
I text Hugh and said, "Hey, Hugh, we're trying to get a helmet for the studio. Can you help out?" He said, "Absolutely. Just send an email to my assistant, and we'll get that done." And
I mean, I've asked other guys for helmets and hadn't gotten them.
All jokes aside, it was here within a week. It was fast.
It's nice. Heck yeah.
I mean, a white one would have been a little better, but I'll take the blue. It's okay.
You didn't.
I did not specify.
Had you requested a white one, you would have gotten a white one. That's on you, not Hugh. You got the flame sticker on the back.
Oh, it is. Oh, the shut thing's coming off.
Mm-hmm.
We can fix it.
Oh yeah, it could all be. None of that's Hugh's fault. This is our fault.
Yeah. It hasn't been in a very prominent location.
Well, we're gonna change that this week.
Okay.
Need to dust, obviously. What else you got?
I'm sorry. I was going back to you mentioning lemonade and vodka. Sorry. I'm had a moment there.
It's a little styrofoam cup.
Little cranberry.
Little splash of cranberry.
Cranberry, not 7-Up. Although that is the Sprite in lemonade and vodka is a delectable add because of the carbonation it gives you. It's a great little just extra hit there.
See, there you go.
Yeah, it's all
Ain't
good.
nothing wrong with that drink.
I know it doesn't matter, and I feel like some people think it's bothering me. It's not bothering me, but why is he not naming a starting quarterback?
My guess.
We're getting into ruse territory.
I don't know. Is it a ruse or are we just trying to keep people happy?
And maybe, but
it's working so far. He's only playing one quarterback. It's worked so far. Does he need to make a public announcement? Do they need to hold a press conference to do it? I mean, really? Kind of defending Lane here.
Well, in some ways, it's our fault. Because you see what's happening. Why do you even need to ask? What difference does it make?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I guess my point, though, is like...
He knows we're going to write about quarterbacks.
Luke knows Jackson is playing Saturday.
Of course.
So what difference does it make? In both directions.
Maybe... But if you don't name Jackson the starter and if you keep doing the or thing, it stops Luke from looking like he publicly did. Like now, he didn't play because he was banged up.
Yeah, sure.
Didn't throw because Lane didn't want to run up the score on Jeff Collins, which I thought was kind of classy.
That was an interesting side note there, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lane's from a football coaching family. People forget that sometimes because of all
he was aware of what's going on at the time.
Yeah, he's aware. Sure. It's one of the things I like about him is he doesn't do the, hey, I never read any of y'all's stuff. No, come on. He might not sit down and read it, but he knows what people are saying.
Yeah, man, I guess bad as I'm talking about, I agree with you. Yeah, I think it's actually more annoying that the question keeps coming up because we know the answer. So,
well, we know it.
That's what I mean.
You and me.
Oh. You actually think there was doubt in that room yesterday? I know. I mean, I'm not trying to set you up. I'm just saying, but
I don't want to be critical, and then I go into the.
No, I know. I get it.
I go into the room, and people look at me like you're a big jerk, even though I think most of those people think I'm a big jerk.
Okay,
which is fine. I don't care. I guess.
I don't think red shirts matter anymore, so I don't think that matters. I mean, I guess it technically would be wasting a year should a quarterback decide to transfer, but
yeah.
Well, not yet. Not before yet.
But that's a conversation that either he and Luke have had or haven't had.
Because it's very clear that conversation has happened with Kentucky-Ole Bullock.
Yes.
I'm not even sure he's traveling.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that conversation's occurred.
He's either going to redshirt or transfer.
Yeah. And with Luke, I mean, maybe that conversation has happened. Maybe it hasn't. I don't know. Luke has played in 3 games. He can play in 1 more without losing his year of playing eligibility.
Yeah, I think Suss probably would want that question back. That was not his... Nick is usually a pretty good question asker.
Yeah,
that was not... I think he got halfway out of his mouth and he went, oh, hell.
Oh, hell.
Okay.
And Lane kind of looked at him like, you know what's coming, right?
Go ahead and take it. Here we go.
Yeah. No, I don't want elite players. That would suck.
I have no interest in...
So you're telling me that one of my choices is I could get 26, 27 Igbenosons and Judkins?
Or not.
Or not? Because I'll take them. If you can help me make that work.
He is staying incredibly high on Zach Evans. I mean, he continues to just rave about how there's so much more there.
Are you watching?
But I mean, like, kind of.
Well, I've seen something, a couple of shots where people have sent to me who have access to film.
Where there's holes.
Where he didn't read the hole. When had he, holy moly. 3rd level.
I talked to Brian about this on the postgame show on Saturday night. Evans has been really fascinating to me from the standpoint of we always heard he's worried about usage in the other way. And I don't know when this was in the game, so maybe you didn't see this. when Evans was kind of the bell cow on the drive, and they got close to the end zone, and they pulled him for Judkins. When Judkins got his second touchdown, and he was pissed. Like Evans
that was after he had fumbled and Ole Miss recovered it, right?
I think that is correct.
They took him out for fumbling.
Yeah, and he was mad.
But I think he was mad at himself for fumbling.
He has shown, though, in 3 games, he wants the football.
Oh, he wants the ball.
Over and over and over again, give me the football.
Yeah.
Competitively in a good way. He does not want to come out of the football game.
No. And the only thing that he's done wrong is he's put the ball on the carpet a couple of times.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things to me, and you tell me whether you think I'm reaching here, and I freely admit that I might be reaching, okay? But Kiffin talked a couple of times about game manager.
He did.
I've never heard him talk about game manager when Matt Corral was here. Now, I don't remember it. Maybe he did. I don't recall. Yeah, sure. I realize I'm reaching. As I said yesterday on a separate thread, we talk all week. I can't remember everything that we talk about. And if I had no opinions, it would be a really boring show.
Oh, sure.
But I wonder if Lane looks at his running game, looks at his defense as an offensive coach who looks at a lot of defenses and goes, if we just don't turn it over, we're going to be in pretty good shape. I do wonder.
It dovetails into the same thing that he said about balance that was a really good coach answer, was that, yes, at the end of the season, you'd love to be 50-50, but that doesn't mean every game is 50-50. Right. It does not mean that we run and then we pass, and then we run twice and we pass twice. It is dictated completely by whatever is going on at that moment in a lot of different ways.
Well, he talked about the Arkansas game last year where I don't think that's what he went into the game expecting. I don't think he went into that game expecting a shootout. Got one. But I don't think that's what he expected. And that was his point. They ended up throwing in that game more than I think they thought they'd have to throw. Because I don't think he thought they'd give up 51 points that day to Arkansas. Mm-mm. And then they found out they couldn't stop Arkansas on that given day, and they had to keep scoring. And so let's do what we do. But I do wonder, to jump into your Altmaier question.
One thing is going to kill this team, and it is turnovers.
Well, sure.
The way they're set up, turnovers cannot be overcome with this team the way it is set up.
Well, they had 3 in the second half against Troy, and you saw what happened. And he said, if you go back and remember, he said, hey, you do that against an SEC team, and it's not good. Mm-hmm. Turn the ball over 3 times against an SEC team, and 9 times out of 10, I'm guessing you're going to lose. I don't have the stats in front of me and don't want to do the research. But my experience tells me that turn it over 3 times and a half in an SEC game, and it's probably not going to go your way.
Yeah, Dorzel, that's something I've been harping on for a while. He says the most prepared Ole Miss team he can remember, especially on defense in 3 games. There hasn't been a play where they've just looked like someone had no clue where they should be. They have looked like an incredibly well-coached defense under Chris Partridge.
Agreed. And so if that's the case, and maybe this is the whole thing about why you don't want to publicly name a starter, if in the back of your mind you're thinking, hey, look, I might have to go to the more conservative guy to manage a game. Mm-hmm. And I am absolutely guessing. I'm not even guessing, actually. I'm just spitballing. You don't want to publicly demote him.
Oh, sure.
When you can just go, hey, he didn't play in those games because he was kind of banged up. We went with the healthier guy.
Oh, and I do think that is true from the standpoint of I don't think there's some 100-0 some dude is just blowing the other away. It's been close throughout, according to everyone. So At some point you have to trust everyone.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. I didn't see as much of the first half as I would have liked to. I've told you I was in transit from one tailgate to another, and I was meeting people and being introduced to people, and I wasn't able to get locked in. I don't regret it. I'm glad that I went. I would do it again 1,000 times over.
Sure, yeah.
But I didn't see Jackson Dart doing a whole lot of 7-step drop, read the field, go to your third option. I saw a lot of what appeared to be one-read throws.
I have to go look at it again. He didn't throw much, frankly. So it's hard to even say because, he threw 16 times for the game, and 7 of those was in the second half where they did kind of they kind of challenged him, I thought, in the second half and goes, no, we're going to throw the ball down the field, just see what happens for a minute.
But they weren't running a lot of complicated stuff. They were running a kind of a crossing route repeatedly, a clear out kind of a deal where you make a read and it's right there or it's not. So my point is maybe they're just waiting to see if – and I think Jackson in the second half probably came really close to answering it. But maybe they're just waiting to see, hey, can you manage a game without making mistakes? And look, I asked about Jackson running the ball, and he said, hey, we got to coach that out of him, this stuff about lowering your shoulder and taking on a defender. Running to the left and lowering your right shoulder to take on a defender, that's just not what we're trying to do here. So do you really want to publicly demote Luke Altmaier before you've got a lot of those things worked out where you might need him? Because, look, the odds are you're going to need both guys. Neither one of them are like big hulking specimens.
I'll write about this. We're all over the place. I'll write about the Tulsa quarterback probably later today or tomorrow morning. But they don't even do any screen games. Like, it is just, by God, down the field throwing the football. It is a fascinating chart for them on what they do. I mean, it is going to be a unique challenge, if nothing else. I mean, Ole Miss is going to win the football game. But
Lane said it was probably the best team that played, and then he kind of corrected himself. But you got the true answer at the beginning. He goes, the most challenging team. He meant the best team. It's the best team they've played so far this year. And it's good. They need to play a better team.
It surprised a lot of people around that staff and that program on just how bad Tech was. They thought Tech was going to be better than that.
Yes.
Not winning, but just better.
I mean,
and they
mine was only 14.
Yeah.
I mean.
And they sucked.
And they quit.
They did quit.
He needs to play a better team. He knows it.
Well, that's kind of dovetailed into the Collins answer is, why are we throwing on a team that has quit with a coach who's getting fired in a few weeks? Like, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and you don't want to get somebody hurt either.
Yeah.
Get the starters off the field.
They didn't need to win 56-0.
Doesn't do you any good. It does nothing for you. There's no difference in 63-0 over 42-0. It doesn't do you no one would have noticed nationally. It wouldn't matter. So
Pro Football Focus, as I've said a lot, I don't really like their grades because I think that gets into a lot of territory that we just don't know what the players are trying to do. But their raw data is really good. I found this interesting. Dart, according to Pro Football Focus, has only made 3 turnover-worthy plays the entire season.
Okay.
Only 4.2% of his throws have been turnover-worthy, meaning balls should have either were or should have been intercepted.
Right.
At that point. Big-time throws, meaning throws down the field into tight windows, he has 8, which is 12% of his passes.
Right.
So they actually grade him out to have played pretty well to this point.
Well, the eye test tells you that he has played pretty well. I mean, I think he's been pretty effective.
And he's throwing the ball, at least relative to some shorter teams that you see. Average depth of throw to this point this season is 13.9 yards, meaning the ball travels 14 yards in the air on the average throw from Dart. That's interesting. He's only been sacked 1 time. So a lot of that's his own mobility, though. He's faced some pressure and gotten out and moved and different things. Ole Miss has only dropped 1 pass this season, too. Wide receivers.
Again.
And it was Evans.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't get down the field and blow the top off. They also don't drop the football.
No, they can run it, and so you get back into the game managing thing. Hey, let's manage a game, because if you manage the game and don't turn it over, they're going to be pretty tough to beat if they're as good on defense as I think they are. Now we get to see them against a pretty powerful passing attack. Quarterback's thrown 11 touchdowns, only 1 pick.
No,
a year ago, the quarterback, what's his name, Bren?
Yeah, that's correct.
A year ago, he threw 18 touchdowns, 16 picks.
Really?
So he's really cut back on taking chances.
But they throw it.
They throw it. Now he's got 3 receivers that are putting up big numbers. They run the ball well enough to support what they do.
They're about 68% pass, looking at the stats yesterday.
Yeah, they throw it.
Yeah,
and Ole Miss needs to see that. They need to get that. That needs to happen because you got some quarterbacks that you're going to play some teams down the road that can throw the football.
And I guess that was my point, is since they don't run screens, it must mean that teams are just dropping tons and not trying to come after them. You know what I mean, to this point? Because if you're coming after them, you would throw the screens over the top of the defenders and try to run it that way. But they've only run like 2 screens the entire season or something. It's all just flinging it.
Well, he's got a good arm. Have you ever watched him throw? I mean, he's got a little to him.
Yeah.
So. Not a real big kid. He's 6'2", 210.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got a little juice in his arm, and he's not afraid to throw it now. He likes it.
Yeah, they're 2-1, lost with Wyoming in double overtime.
Yeah. No, it's
okay.
And it's a free shot for them. I mean, for Tulsa, this is free shot Saturday.
Yeah.
So they're going to let it all hang out. And I think Ole Miss needs to play a better team because Kentucky's good. I'm not going to go. I get criticized for saying Kentucky's good. They're 15-3 if they beat Northern Illinois in their last 18. That's usually a pretty good sign. They're going to play good teams.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at LSU is going to be a challenge. At A&M is going to be a challenge. Alabama's going to be a challenge. At Arkansas is going to be a challenge. State's going to be desperate. You're going to play some good teams. So you need kind of a tune-up. I don't think playing another Georgia Tech type team would be advantageous to Ole Miss.
No, it wouldn't help them at all. Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark, NESPRC. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clark Ford Studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's nespark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, wireless mesh extender, and much more. So call Northeast Spark. Get the best internet in Lafayette County. That's 662-238-3159.
Brought to you by Lammons Fine Jewelry. Lammons at 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. It's been serving the Oxford area for more than 73 years. Engagement rings, wedding rings, everything jewelry-wise. They've got it. It's the gold standard in fine jewelry. LammonsFineJewelry.com. Call them at 662-234-2777. Get in touch with the people at Pinnacle. And their Pinnacle 401k advisory services team can conduct a complimentary no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. It's mypinwealth.com, mypinnwealth.com. Brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. If you're planning a trip, maybe you're thinking about doing something over the holidays, maybe you're already thinking about next summer, spring break, whatever the case may be, get in touch with John. Maybe you're thinking about having to go to Boise in December. Get in touch with John. Give him some parameters and a budget. Let him give you options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of the services. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. If you're coming to town the next few weeks, make OPA a part of your weekend. It's right on the square. Gyros, wraps, kebabs, redfish, lamb chops, handcrafted cocktails, frozen libations, an amazing candlelit patio, and more. 306 South Lamar, just south of the square courthouse in Oxford. Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all of your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, residential, family homes. You can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. We'll have picks up on Thursday morning. They're brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency. Told you yesterday about people looking for a job. Well, what if your company is looking to hire quality, hard-to-find talent? Service Specialists can help. Keep in mind that payment of service is solely contingent on if you decide to hire a candidate that they send. Nothing to lose, so give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call, 662-832-5138 or servicespecialistltd.com. Don't just accept what you see, I should say, but imagine something new. Step forward, chase after a better version of yourself. Every day, Corinth Dental is helping people reinvent themselves one smile at a time. Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick, Dr. Bubba McQueen are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures, including Invisalign. Get in touch with them today for a no-cost digital scan of your teeth. Let them show you the way to a straighter, healthier smile. 12 months, no interest. No down payment financing available at corinthdental.com. Pinpoint Real Estate, commercial real estate, I should say, is based out of Jackson. They service the entire state in all commercial asset classes, such as industrial, retail, office, medical, and land. Get in touch with my friend B.B. Mitchell with Pinpoint, and he'll give you some advice, whether you're looking to acquire income-producing property or whether you're looking at things like vacant buildings for investment-grade stabilized assets. They'll take care of you. They take great pride in their attention to detail, professionalism, and hard work. For all your commercial real estate needs, call BB 601-934-5008. And we're brought to you by Southern Traditions Farm. It's a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails. Also, it's a great venue for events, for reunions, for parties, that kind of thing. So get in touch with them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm.
Looks like as early as 2024, the college NBA is getting rid of the one and done rule. The age will go from 19 to 18. It's good for everybody, frankly.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's fine.
College will still get a few because of NIL for a year potentially.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
I mean, not the top guy, obviously,
but some guys.
Some mid dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's possible. It's been at 19 since 2005. It was 18 from 99 to 2005. So reverting back to that is where it is. Obviously, most high school seniors will be eligible is the point. They can go straight should they be drafted.
And some will get bad advice and do it.
And that's on you. Hey,
is what it is.
Speaking of guys and cautionary tales, Amani Bates arrested with multiple felonies here in gun charges. Talk about a guy who has just ruined every opportunity.
Shouldn't have gone to Memphis.
No. Then he transferred to Eastern Michigan before this happened.
Yeah, but the damage was done.
I can talk about baseball right now, and we're just kind of hitting. We'll hit a little NFL. We'll obviously do a ton of NFL tomorrow because that went longer than I thought. We're not giving enough respect to Aaron Judge's numbers all the way around. It's not just the home runs we were talking about the other day. My God in hell. His slashes and that dude's got a chance at like 2 Triple Crowns, the slash and the normal batting title.
And he's a free agent this year. Is that right?
Oh, I have no idea. Is he? No clue. But
I think
my
that's
God,
right. Yeah, no, he's unbelievable.
That'll be something Thursday, but like it's scary. I was looking at some of that this morning and went, whoa, that's some crazy stuff. What would it take for Stetson and Bennett to get on your Heisman ballot? Is he there now?
Play 10 more games like the 2 that he just played? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's playing elite football.
He is. No, he's incredibly underrated. He's starting to get better rated, but he has been incredibly underrated.
I mean, he's got to do it against Tennessee on a big stage. He's got to do it against Kentucky on a big stage. He's got to probably do it against Alabama in the SEC championship game. But if he does, he won the national championship last year and played really well in that game.
He did.
And so far this year, he's been great. I mean, he's no Spencer Rattler. But he's pretty damn good. Here's the thing. We've got to get past this. You know where I'm going. Drives me crazy. He's not going to be a great NFL quarterback. So the F what?
Yeah, who cares?
He's not asked to be an NFL quarterback. He's not playing the Bills. He's not. That's not part of the requirement. And in no way, no one's asking him, hey, man, you got to be an NFL prospect. No, you don't. And quite frankly, he might be playing his way into where an NFL team goes, you know what? Might not be the worst cat in the world to have on a roster.
Yeah, come hang out and see what happens.
Compete.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who was the cat at Arkansas years ago?
Brandon Allen.
I mean, he's still holding a clipboard in the NFL, probably collecting a bigger check than he would if he were selling insurance.
Mm-hmm.
If you told me Stetson Bennett makes an NFL roster and hangs out for a few years, sure. I mean, he's made some plays.
Chase Daniel hanging on, just cashing checks.
And people are like, well, and here's the other one I love. I hear this one. This one. Sometimes I'm just like, I realize I'm an idiot about football, and I'm not. I get it.
Okay.
But when people go, well, he really benefits from having a lot of great players around him. So the people that play professionally aren't good? What are you getting at?
Well, the argument would be discrepancy between your opponent.
Of course.
But yes. But that hasn't stopped Alabama quarterbacks from winning the Heisman.
What do you ask backup quarterbacks to do in the NFL? Manage the game, don't lose. If you have to go in, manage the game.
Manage the game, buy us time, and for the love of God, do not get in trouble off the field. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. You're a good citizen, and you don't do dumb things.
Show up, help the starter, and if he misses 4 weeks, come in and be able to be proficient.
Keep it between the lines.
Yeah, just drive the car. Don't wreck it. See if we can win 2 of those 4.
And frankly, just be ready to finish a game, and then we'll all look at Monday on we need to bring somebody in or not and all that crap.
Yeah.
Really, just get me through a game.
But if it's just 3 weeks,
Yeah.
can we win one of those
survive?
3 games?
Yeah. Like Cooper Rush, dude, just go win a game.
Yeah.
Thanks. Beat the Bengals.
You think
Good.
the Cowboys are pretty happy with Cooper Rush today?
He's 2-0 as a starter.
They like him.
Not an all-pro, but we just
Not asking him to be an all-pro.
Uh-uh.
You're not paying him to be an all-pro.
Uh-uh.
So, yes, I think Stetson could play in the NFL, and yes, he could win the Heisman.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy didn't get in the huddle and go, I need you to go be Josh Allen.
Well, I mean, like right now today, if you had to vote for the Heisman today, who would you vote for? And again, it's ridiculous. Who would you vote for today?
But he would be one of the guys.
He'd be on the very short list.
Yeah.
But we do this all the time. I hear the argument about multiple guys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's not an NFL player. He couldn't play in the NFL. Okay.
Speaking more as, I guess, a teaser for tomorrow at this point. Speaking of, holy hell at Josh Allen and the Bills.
Oh, geez.
I mean,
oof. Oof.
The worst thing about them is their blue-on-blue uniforms.
Yeah.
I mean,
there needs to be a meeting.
No, you're playing. No, we're Bull Durham level now. Wear those.
Oh, no, you wear
at it.
Well, if that's the case, then might want to order some extra ones.
If they're wearing blue on blue, because Josh goes, I really like the blue on blue, then you wear the blue on blue.
You might want to order some extras because you're not losing in them. They look amazing.
I know Tennessee's a little discombobulated, but
they're not that damn discombobulated.
No, that was
That's 2 games now where they've just
and that thing was like what 10-7 in the second quarter or something. Like it was competitive for a little while, and then
they've played the Rams and the Titans and made them look like Vanderbilt. That's on Buffalo. That's incredible.
Yeah, McVay probably felt a little better about things last night. He was sitting in his couch going,
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're not the only ones.
They can do everything.
Oh, they're good.
Oh, they're really good.
Eagles looked good last night.
I told you. Nah, real good. AJ makes a lot of sense.
Jalen was pretty good last night.
Got him some weapons. It's amazing what happens when you give a quarterback weapons.
They get better.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Amazing what Rodgers has done without receivers.
Well,
The other side of that.
you know why he gets all the criticism he gets. It has nothing to do with
But I'm just
football.
saying,
Aaron Rodgers does not get the adulation that he deserves for his greatness. And there's one reason.
October 16th at 3:25, the Bills are at Arrowhead.
Oh.
Here in a few weeks.
Sign me up.
That's week 6.
That's the day after the Auburn game. I'll get 10 thoughts done, get interviews done by 3:25 that day.
Yeah, they beat the Rams 31-10 in LA and the Titans at home 41-7. They're at Miami this week.
Tennessee went to the playoffs last year as the 1 seed.
That's a 1 seed, yes.
41-7.
Yeah. At Miami, at Baltimore, Pittsburgh at home, at Kansas City, their next 4. Okay.
I mean, they could play the Lombardi All-Stars right now, and I'm not sure I'd pick against them.
Yeah. So
They look amazing.
no, very clear front runner. There's no doubt.
He's a beast.
Allen.
Yeah. The NFL is so good, man. NFL is just such a product.
I hung in and watched that game last night until I guess I might have even seen the last touchdown. I was like, what am I doing? I have no interest here at this point.
I didn't make it very far.
Yeah.
But they're really, really good.
They are. Tons of NFL tomorrow. Again, still got Saints Thoughts. So it was a marinade for 2 days. The landscape was interesting on Sunday. It was a good slate of games. That witching hour between 2 and 3 is maybe the best hour of the week in any way, where everything's just kind of falling apart and going back together again with NFL football. It's phenomenal. So we'll have that covered.
Imagine what I was doing. I said this on McCready and Siskey yesterday, but from 2 to 3:20, I was doing the 3-player shows.
Mm-hmm.
The landscape between 2 and 3:20 and how much it had changed
that's funny.
Was unbelievable. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Because everything got turned upside down.
Oh, I mean, I was like, are you sure?
Yeah. So
unfortunately,
they were sure.
They were sure.
NFL tomorrow on the show. A lot of college football as well as always. See what else goes down because the sport's stupid and something will every single day. So appreciate all you guys in the stream, the conversation, the listeners everywhere you are, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.